There's a lot of noise this morning from the sell side, Jordan, about, well, is iPhone 16 overhyped? The Jeffries note even mentioned 17, which is fictional at this point. It doesn't exist, at least as far as we know. When you sit down at your desk and you get the phone calls from clients, how do you react to all of that?
Well, I mean, this is a rite of passage for Apple and the investment community every September, October when they launch a new phone. Everyone loves to go out and do their checks for how long does it take, to get a phone once you place the order, and that's, the lead time analysis to kind of judge demand. I think it's kind of nonsense. I mean, yeah, people like to do those. The press and media pick it up. But at the end of the day, you won't really know how well this cycle is till, next spring. And then by then, everyone's looking at the next version, right? So it's always kind of on to the next thing. And I think from the standpoint of where I'm focused is no one really expects the 16 to be some game-changing iPhone cycle. It's not going to outperform, I don't think, expectations. If anything, it's expected to underperform. That's why the stock's been lagging. But most importantly is kind of the 17, the next phone, next fall, that would be the second iteration of, their AI software, which hopefully is then going to drive more of a replacement cycle and get people excited.
Generally, could you summarize what investor attitudes are toward Apple holistically right now?
They're not good. I think every day you get another sell-side report that is negative or cautious in terms of our checks suggest demand is weaker than it was a year ago. The phone isn't selling well. They're going to start cutting unit production by December. And that permeates across the investment community. And most people are like, yeah, it's a major stock. I have to pay attention. I have to have some weighting in my portfolio relative to my benchmark. But most people just take a view that unless I think this product's going to surprise, I can underweight the stock and not worry about missing any alpha. And that's what they're doing. They're going into other names, particularly the Mag 7, that, the setup looks better. So all I'm saying is that the sentiment couldn't be that much worse than it is now.
Couldn't be that much worse, but it's actually only about 4% off of its record high in terms of its share price, still worth more than $3 trillion. Is this just going to be sideways trading, therefore, Jordan? We sort of priced in some of that anxiety.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that's kind of what I was noting today, that, who would have guessed Apple's shares are up 17% this year? It's a little below the market, but it's better than a lot of other names, particularly in software. It's better than Google. It's actually better than Microsoft. So I think, again, that shows you positioning and sentiment is already down. And every time we get a new update or we get closer to the earnings report later in October, I think the surprise to the downside factor gets more and more priced in or expected. So again, yeah, it could be an underperformer and a laggard, but I don't think it's going to all of a sudden derate and trade down materially. I think there's a lot of people who might buy the stock if it ever got closer to $200.